You're listening to the Furlough Podcast, your break from everyday life with hosts Chris and Dave.
All right, guys, this show is brought to you by, I say brought to you, we're going to give a shout out to Heart of Dixie Harley Davidson in Pelham, Alabama. And my biggest shout out to those guys are going to be to Mike DeSantis and Lee Arnold. Mike DeSantis is the general manager for Heart of Dixie Harley Davidson, and Lee Arnold is a salesman down there. These guys did such a fantastic job for us. Sweet Amber got her 2019 Harley Street Bob, I believe that's right. And through a few little confusion pieces that Amber was looking at a different brand, these guys really sold us on Harley Davidson. They sold us on this bike. They spent a lot of time with her. If you have a lady, or even if yourself that wants to go and look at a Harley, if you're in this general area or if you're willing to drive, these are the guys to go see. I can't say anything but great things about them. They were fair. They were clear with everything. They were clear with the options. They were clear with the pricing. And if you get a chance, Heart of Dixie, Harley Davidson, Pelham, Alabama. If you can, give them a call. I don't know if I have their number here. Their number is 205-560-1234. That's pretty easy to remember. Give those guys a check out.
All right, guys. Very excited for today's guest. Today we'll be having Mr. Sherman Golden, the professional, as we have nicknamed him. You may have heard him on Def Comedy Jam. He's also starting a world tour with Mr. Chris Tucker. Next week, they will be headlining and starting their tour in Las Vegas, Nevada, doing 2 shows there before heading over to Australia. So, very exciting show today. A lot of fun. So, here we go with Mr. Sherman Golden.
All right, here we go. All right, online we got the professional, Mr. Sherman Golden. How you doing, brother?
I'm hanging in there, man. How you doing?
Oh, we're doing wonderful. What's going on in the big ATL?
Nothing much, man. Trying to get ready for this Super Bowl.
I hear you. You got some things going on. You fixing to take off on a little bit of a tour, aren't you?
Yeah, man. Get ready for this Chris Tucker World Tour 2019.
All right, where's that?
So,
did you say it starts
starting off in Vegas next week?
Excellent. So, if I'm not mistaken, you said Vegas, then Australia, and then you're going to England?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. So, where at in Vegas are y'all going to be playing?
One of them casinos. I forgot what name. What's the name of it? But it's going to be a casino.
Man, they keep y'all busy, don't they?
Oh yeah, it keeps us busy.
That's all right, man. Hey, what a great way to see the world, man. You know, Dave and I Dave and I was talking about it, man. It's just the ability to travel around, and man, I'm sure the stories are endless.
Yeah, man.
Hey, so for people that may not be familiar with you, can you just kind of go a little bit about how you met up with Chris and kind of y'all's history together and how you got into the comedy business?
Well, me and him started the same night, to tell you the truth. And he was still in high school, and I was still working a 9 to 5. We used to go to open mics. But after we leave out the comedy club, all the buses stopped running, so I used to take him home. Because I knew he was young, still in school. So I used to take him home, man, after we come out of the comedy club. And, things just took off after that, man. He moved to L.A., and he just hit, I'm like, overnight.
Yeah.
But me and him have been friends since day one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I was watching some of your, that DVD we got from you the few weeks back, man. And I get to laughing. I told, I don't know if you heard it on the last podcast that we were doing. I think it was a podcast before this last one, but I got to watch you 2 shows back to back at the Stardome, and I'm gonna tell you what, I started calling you the professional, and I'm gonna tell you, why. It really impressed me. A lot of comics, they do the same show for a while. You know, they're saying, you know, the same bits and all that stuff, you know, because you got to get them polished. But what I was impressed by is you came out there and some of the content was the same, some of it was similar, but I loved how you felt that crowd out on like the first. So the second night wasn't the first night. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You went out there and it was just really interesting for me because I got to see them back to back, and I don't think a lot of people get to see that. And so you went out there and you just felt that crowd out, and you worked your set based off what the crowd was giving you. And I was like,
exactly.
I told Dave, I said, that man right there is the professional. That's my new nickname for Sherman.
That's funny.
So how did you, have you always, because I'm going to tell you, I watched you from the side and off stage, and it just seemed to flow so smooth and so easy the way you interacted with the crowd. Is that something that you've had to really work on and perfect, or is it just something that's always came natural to you?
Nah, you have to work on it. You have to work on it. And like I said, it's an art form.
Yeah.
You know, once you figure out, you know, I mean, you can kind of look out and see, you know, what kind of crowd you're going to have. You know, and like you say, I already know where I want to go. But I just let the crowd take me there, you know.
What are your biggest cues? What do you look for when you and I don't give any secrets away, but I just, you know, I always try to feel like, because I'm not a comedian, you know, I think I'm funny, but only to myself, you know. But what do you look for when is there any cues you get from a crowd when you go, oh, it's gonna be a good night right here?
Yeah, you know, it's based on the host. The host sets the tone. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'll sit there and I'll see where he's taking the crowd to, and once he brings me up, you know, wherever he leaves off, that's what I pick up. I already know where I want to go. You know, so I just pick up, you know, wherever he leaves off, I just pick it up right there. Yeah. You know, so I don't really have a set. You know, most people have a start and a finish. You know,
right?
I don't have a start and a finish. I go out there and the first thing come out of my mouth, that's where I'm gonna start at.
Well, that's why I called you the professional, because it was like on that second night, it's like, man, he just totally went out. He just like, you know, like you going in to hang out with your buddies, man. You just went into that whole how's it gonna feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing is like, it's like a if I'm doing 30 minutes, it's a 30-minute conversation with the audience. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. You know, that's all it is. It's a 30-minute conversation.
So when I hosted for you and I did that bit about the massage parlor and the woman missing fingers, and you go, hey, let's give it up for Dirty Dave over there. But then you had your own massage parlor stories, and it was so funny, and you were just killing those guys.
Yeah, I did. I remember that. Yeah, I did like how Sherman goes, well, I don't know what kind of massage parlor he's going to, but ain't. But I think that's great though. I like how you and Dave work together. It flowed like y'all were old time buddies, you know.
Exactly.
But what do you do? You know, that second night that you were there, you know, the other guy that was performing, you know, he ended up having a heckler that was behind me. Did you see all that go down, or did you already fade out?
Nah.
Oh man, this guy.
I didn't know. Yeah, the heckler, Rocky.
Yeah, and it was, it was brutal. It was so brutal.
Wow.
And what made it really awkward for me was I was directly in line between Rocky and the guy behind me, the heckler, and he was slobber drunk. I mean, like I turned around and literally food falling out of his mouth while he's eating. It was horrible, and that was probably the biggest part of Rocky that impressed me, is how he handled the guy. You know, he just went off on the guy. I mean, it was brutal, and I was sitting there and I got to laughing, and later I thought about it and I talked to Dave. And I was going to ask you, what, you know, do you give much credence to those guys, or you just try to avoid them, or you just gloves off if they can't keep their mouth shut?
Well, I'll give them a warning. You know, I'll tell them, I say, look here, man, you know, I can make you famous if you want me to. You know, So I give them a warning. But the thing is, I rarely get them because I don't give the audience enough time to breathe.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like when I first come out, when I get that first laughter, I can go for about 10 minutes nonstop without you even breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I take a breath, you be so tired of laughing, ain't nothing you can say.
There you go.
So
Most of the time, if you get a heckler, it's going to be somebody who looks at you and don't believe what you're saying, or if you hesitate, then somebody gonna holler out some bullshit.
Is it almost like they either smell lack of confidence or a little bit of fear?
Yep.
Huh.
Just like a dog.
Yeah.
If you smell it, he gonna come get you.
So I know. So one of the things I noticed is, so we were watching your CD together. Is it was about every 10 to 12 seconds you seemed to have a punchline, and you were just hitting, and you kept that crowd. I think it was a crowd in Atlanta, and it was just one punch after another. You were hitting those guys.
Yeah, and that's how you keep the hecklers off of you, because when they see you doing that, and they just small little punchlines leading up to, the main punchline. But when an audience see you doing that, then they say, okay, this guy know what he's doing.
We got another comedian, Tim Statham. I don't know if you guys have met or worked together, but he said the same. He had a phrase that said, if you can get everybody on the bus with you, it helps out. Once you get everybody with you and you run,
you can take them anywhere.
Yeah, and I like that phrase that he said. And I think that would, in my mind, that would keep a lot of the heckling down, because if you get the fans with you, they'll all turn on that heckler.
Yeah, exactly. The crazy thing about it, 80% of your audience is gonna be women.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, man! Look out there, man. You don't see number women. And if you get the women on your side, you got it. It's a done deal.
That's mother hens on that, right?
Huh.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Because every time she laughs, if she with a guy, he gonna have to laugh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about
See
that.
what I'm saying?
I didn't think about that.
Because if she laughing and he ain't laughing, in the back of her mind, she's gonna like, oh, I'm out with this asshole. What is wrong with him? This guy's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, in the back of her mind, he ain't getting no ass at the end of the night.
That's right.
Right. So if he want to impress her, he gonna laugh every time she laughs.
Yeah.
So if you get her on your side, it's a wrap.
Man, that is words of wisdom from the professional right there. I'm gonna pay attention. I'm telling you, I'm gonna start paying. I have a thing. I have a good / bad habit. I'm a people watcher. So even though I love comedy, and willing to spend money on comedy, but when I go, I don't just watch, the comedian perform. I watch the people too. Me too. And the first night that you guys were there, and they had I was sitting dead center about halfway up with a young lady, and there was a crew that was dead center right next to the stage, and there was a real pretty girl. She was sitting there, and it was a whole crew of them, and about 6 of them, I think. And she got to laughing, and some of the stuff y'all would say, she'd look over her man, and just her facial expression. It was like like a story in a story. And I talked to him after. I actually talked to him after the show, and I laughed, and I told her how great she was to watch, and they laughed, but they had a good time. And and luckily the second night I was right next to the stage, so I got to see you from a different angle and see you work the crowd, and it was just good stuff. Dave's up and coming in his comedy career, and hopefully you guys will get to work together some more.
I hope so.
Man. Yeah. Oh, me too. Because I would tell you, I learned a lot. And so the thing that people don't see is they don't see what goes on in the green room. So I was pacing the floors trying to make sure my little 15 minutes I had it inside and out. And old Sherman comes in, sits down in the chair back there, turns on TV, is watching a sci-fi movie, just calm as can be. I was like, damn, dude, you're not nervous at all.
Yeah, I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous until I get that first laugh.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. I want to tell you what really had me nervous. Remember the second night when they got the lineup mixed up?
Oh yes.
And
I'm standing back there at the top of the club watching, and you called my name. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
So I had to come down the steps and walk between the audience and then get on the stage at the front of the stage. I was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna think I'm crazy."
And I apologize again. It was a breakdown in communication.
Yeah.
Everybody thought someone else had given me the information.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, nobody did.
Nobody gave you the information.
But what happened is you came down like a damn rock star right through the middle of the crowd, get up on the stage, and
that was funny, man.
murder those motherfuckers. But did you see? So that guy that was supposed to come up before you, did you watch his set?
Nah, I had one outside.
Oh, it was painful.
It was
painful.
painful.
to watch.
You wrecked his day. You made him follow you, and he was doing a guest spot, so that means he's obviously just trying to get his feet under him. And I bet he went home and reevaluated a few things.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that crowd,
Not that bad, was it?
that crowd was so hot when you got off the stage. I mean, I know their face was hurting, and then this guy comes on. He comes out of Chicago, and he came on to do 5 minutes, and it was nothing but crickets out there. And
Wow.
oh, it hurt me to sit over there and watch that.
it was so bad I won't mention the poor guy's name.
Right, oh, no.
he needs another shot in life.
No,
But to add insult to injury, he was Rocky's buddy. That's how he got it. Yeah. And the big insult to injury is the drunk guys that were behind me that Rocky got into it with. I'm saying got into it bad with. They were good friends with the guy that bombed.
Yeah.
That was his buddies.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird night, man. It was a weird night. And that's why I was wondering if you saw that going on. But yeah, it's like Dave and that guy were up at the very, very back. And Dave's like, he better not be yelling at my buddy thinking it was me, but he was actually and the guy goes, "No, he's yelling at my buddy."
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it was a really fun night. Was that your first time playing here in Birmingham?
No, man. I used to come to Stardom like 3-4 times a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I guess you're going to be tied up with Chris for a while, so it'll probably be a minute before we see you back here, right?
Yeah. I've been on the road with him like 6 years now.
Oh, so you'll come hit smaller clubs like this in between gigs with Chris?
Usually we'll hit the Stardome, then we'll hit Zany's, then we'll hit the other club in Huntsville, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
That's that new club, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that nice? I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, I have to check that out.
Yeah. So, how many shows are you doing in Vegas?
2.
Oh, okay. Oh, and then it's just straight over to Australia?
Now I'll come back to Atlanta.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Are you?
Yeah, usually we're home during the weekdays
Oh, okay.
and head out the weekends.
That traveling kills you, doesn't it? It's got to. It'd kill me.
What?
The travel, the actual airfare, flying and doing all.
Yeah, coming back from South Africa, man, about 18 hours. Man.
Oh God! What's the? I watched something, and it's weird that you mentioned South Africa. I watched something. It's been a long time ago, but there was a guy talking about comedy taking off in South Africa, and that.
Yeah, it's big.
That blew my mind. That's like, not that I didn't think there'd be comedy in South Africa, but I just found it fascinating that so many guys and girls were going down there to do work. Is it? Do they get it? I mean, they
get it.
Okay,
they get it. Yeah, I mean, thank God for social media.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, but you can do your same material here that you can do down there.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I just figured
about comedy is universal, man. Laughter is universal.
Yeah.
Everybody, can relate to something you're talking about.
Right. Do you ever worry about people stealing your stuff?
They always do. That's one thing you can't stop. A long time ago, I did Def Jam back when Martin Lawrence was hosting, and I used to do this joke about, kids trick-or-treating in the ghetto, and they don't have costumes, so they just, put on whatever their parents make them up as. Mm-hmm. And this one guy had knocked on my door, and he had on all black and had a red dot on his head. And I said, man, what you supposed to be? He said, I'm a beeper.
That's very funny.
Well, I did that joke back in the 90s, right? So I see this guy at the club, and he's doing it. I'm like, word for word. I'm like, yo, dude. I said, that's fine, right? He's like, oh, man, you don't do that no more.
You don't do it no more. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I said, that don't matter. He said, dude, I've been watching you. He said, you don't even do that joke no more. I said, it don't matter. It's mine.
Right.
That's crazy. And they don't care.
No, they don't care. They don't care.
So is that guy still in the comedy business?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well,
But this is what I told him. I said, if you had something funny, I said, I'd steal it and do it in front of your face. I said, but the funniest shit you got is what you stole from me.
Oh, goddamn. There you go. you cut him deep on that one.
Yeah. So when I see him at the club, what I'll do, I'll go up before him and do it so he can't do it.
Oh, look at you.
Well, what you could do that joke and then just do his whole set for him and just blow him up.
Right. But like I said, the only funny thing he got is the one he got from me. So I don't want to bomb, so I can't do his set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he's stealing from you, because he don't have any.
Yeah,
exactly.
Dude, that's awesome, though. If we're ever somewhere and that guy happens to be performing, I want you to point him out. I don't want you to bust on him on the show, but if you ever point him out and say, hey, there's that beeper guy.
Yeah, right.
So I can laugh. I got fascinated on the whole thing between Joe Rogan and Carlos Mencia, that big rival they had, about stealing jokes and stuff, and Joe busting him out. And I always ask comics that, because first of all, in my humble opinion, and again, I'm no comedian, it's got to be tough writing material especially with the power of social media, the internet, and all that stuff. Yep. And what's original, and and people can steal and stuff like that. You almost have to covet something and blast it out there where everybody knows it's yours.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you got to make it yours, because, like you said, social media is so crazy. There's only so many topics you can cover, but it's just when you cover it that makes it yours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody has a Donald Trump joke.
Right.
But it's the way you go at it that makes it yours.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So let me ask you, politics and religion, is that something that you don't shy away from, or you'll hit those as well?
It all depends. Most of the time I'll do religion, but I don't like doing politics.
People get crazy, don't they?
Yeah, man. I got a lot of friends that are Republicans and a lot of friends that are Democrats, so I try to stay away from that.
Yeah. We do the same thing on the show. We do our best to stay away from religion and politics because it's tough. What's tough, and I think this is tough for comedians. I've heard this is true regurgitation that I've heard people discuss everywhere from personal life to on shows and stuff like that. For comedians, it's got to be so tough with political correctness that it's so many people. You can't do old Richard Pryor stuff anymore. You can't do you can't do Eddie Murphy stuff from the 80s.
Right.
It's so many things that I know that made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people don't get it, and it's sad in a sense that it takes away so much fun. Because I don't care. You can talk about me. You can talk about white people, black people, whatever. Yeah, but if you say it funny, you can't help but laugh, because we are funny. Because if you look at us all, we're all ridiculous. Yeah. In some form. I do really ridiculous shit all the time, and but people get so serious at comedians. I just don't see. It just makes it tough for you guys.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the thing that's going on with Kevin Hart right now. He said that shit like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
10 years ago. And he apologized the same day he said it 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they won't let it go.
For somebody to go dig that shit up from 10 years.
But the thing about it is, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Sherman, it's not a bunch of people. It's a handful of people that their life is so crappy themselves that they have to go tear somebody else down.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Kevin Hart to the end. I mean, I think he's hilarious, man. He can say whatever he wants to.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You think he handled that the right way? That he should not have went back on the Oscars?
I wouldn't have went back.
You got to stand ground, right?
Oh, I totally agree.
Yep, you got to stand it. Yeah,
but you know what? You know what's funny, and I'm only going to say it because you brought it up. You know what he said, and everybody, But he dressed up in drag on some show. I can't remember what show it was.
On Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, yeah, I knew it was something. He dressed up in drag. I mean,
and he kissed The Rock in the mouth.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's like calling a white person a racist that's married to a black person.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like, wait a minute, I'm lost.
Yeah,
I'm lost. Somebody. I need an owner's manual in this thing.
Well, the Oscars are going to be the losers on this whole deal. So
yeah.
Have you ever worked with Kevin Hart at all?
Yeah, man, one time, and I knew it was going to be my last time.
Oh,
really?
no.
What happened?
Yeah, man. We was in Indiana, and I probably had one of the greatest sets of my life, man. And so after the show, we selling merchandise. He got a table right next to mine, and people were coming up saying, how come you ain't go last, man? You should have went last, man.
Oh,
the other guy was funny, man. He's standing right next to me.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, damn, this is going to be my last show with him.
Yeah.
And it was.
It's so funny. It's so fun. God, the irony. We had a conversation. We were out at a brewery last night. We were drinking beer, and Dave's up and coming comic, and he's going. I just have great hopes for Dave. I think he's going to do strong. But we were with a seasoned road comic, and he made a comment like that. He says, "You got to be careful when you are MC or feature act. That if you're too funny, those people won't want to work with you no more."
Yep.
And that's got to be tough, because how do you become the guy if you got to dial yours back?
Right.
That's
you got to know when to. You got to know when to.
Yeah.
That's like when I'm on the show with Chris, and it took me a while to get on the show with him because, I'm cool with their whole family, but his brother was like, he said, man, I love my brother to death, man. He said, but there's no way in hell I would let him go behind you. And I said, I wouldn't do that. I said, if I'm hosting the show, I know my position. I said, if I'm the host, why would I go out there act like I'm the headliner? I said, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
I said, if I'm hosting, I said, I can go through the audience for 45 minutes without even doing any of my material. So I don't even have to do my material.
Right.
So they tried me out on one show, and
That's awesome.
it worked out. Yeah, so because my thing is this, like when I get that light for my last 5 minutes, I don't do no material, none. I just talk to the audience, and ask them that everybody having a great time, and I might ask some people where you from or what you do, and go through that and just talk.
Oh, it's fascinating.
And then when that little 5 minutes is up, bam, I say, hey, are y'all ready for Chris Tucker?
Yeah.
And bring him up. So when I bring him up, I done brought the level back down to 0.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when he hits the stage, he can take his time and bring them where he wants to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you leave the stage with a standing ovation, when that headliner come out there, he got to start out where that level is where you left it, at the top of the roof.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's hard to
And
go
that's
up
hard
from there.
to do. Right. If you get ready to do an hour and a half, there's no way in hell you can do an hour and a half when the level is already at the top. No, you want to build them up to the top. So you bring that level down and let the headliner take him where he wants to take him.
I think in happenstance you just explain longevity in comedy of working with other people. I think you gotta. That's something I don't believe they teach guys. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something that you've learned from experience. That's fascinating.
You got to know your headliner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got to know your headliner, because if like I said, there's only so many things you could talk about. So if you know your headliner does political stuff, religious stuff, relationship stuff, you want to stay away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't want to feel like you're doing the same thing.
Exactly. You don't want to go up there and talk about religion and relationships and and then he come up and he's talking about religion and relationships and the audience says, well, damn, the last guy just said that,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you want to know your headliner. That way you'll know what to do and what not to do. Or ask him, and say, hey man, is there anything you don't want me to do? And he'll tell you, stay away from this, stay away from that. I was on the show with George Wallace one time.
Oh, he's funny.
He made me sign a contract.
What?
He gave me a list of shit not to do.
Oh, wow.
Like of your own material, he told you what not to use?
Yeah. No, he gave me a list of shit that he gonna do.
Yeah, he's basically saying, don't hit this topic, don't hit that
he
topic.
He said, this is all the shit that I'm gonna do, and I don't want you to say nothing about none of this.
Wow, wait.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that hard for you to work like that?
No.
You gotta be ready.
So
just gotta be ready.
So when did he give it to you? The day of, just before you went up on stage, the day of, or when?
Yeah, the day of. Yeah, when he come in there, he said, hey, who's the feature or who the host?
Yeah.
He said, all right, here. Don't do none of this. Don't say none of that. And he make you sign it.
That's fascinating.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
But it doesn't make you strong. It makes you stronger.
yeah. You have to. It'll make you quit.
Yeah. There's
Exactly.
So I did a host job just last week for a woman that was on America's Got Talent. And so when I got there, they told me, they said, Dave, you're going to have to cut it down to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I cut my set down short. And so when I came off the stage, she told me, she goes, when the feature was on, she goes, Dave, if you want to do another joke or two, because she wasn't feeling well. She goes, you do another joke or two if you want before I go on. And I knew from watching her that she had a lot of clean material. And I told her, I said, listen, I done burned up all my clean stuff trying to set you guys up. I said, you mind if I get a little dirty? She goes, nah, go ahead. So after about a minute, she came up to me and she goes, now how dirty are you talking? And I got a joke about being jerked off by a 3-fingered masseuse. Is that okay? She goes, no, you better save that one.
Hey, that was a solid. That's a solid joke, though, ain't it, Sherman?
Yeah. She didn't want to follow that. I mean,
exactly.
Jerked off by a woman with 3 fingers. That's tough.
Well, you ever get traveling with some people that's like, man, I really shouldn't have bought off on these guys because they're just rough to work with, and it on the same sort of the flip of the question, have you ever been working with someone? I know you work with Chris and you like working with him. Is there anybody else that you just work with and he's like, man, that was just a pleasure to roll with those guys?
Sinbad.
Oh, really? So he's good to roll with?
Yeah. Sinbad. He talking about, that's me and him did the start on, and he let the kids come. If you got parents could bring their kids to his show.
Wow.
That's how clean it is.
Wow.
And the guy's so funny, you don't even know he's not cussing.
Wow.
That's good. That's good right there.
So then I guess you will fit your show. If your headliner is super clean, you'll make yours super clean as well, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I can go through the audience for 45 minutes. And just keep it clean. I'll just where you from, what you do, and say, hey, what you do for a living, and somebody, whatever they work at, that's what you run with, ask somebody where they're from, if they're not from Alabama, whatever, you run with that,
Yeah. So I remember when we were backstage and I was picking your brain, I was just trying to pull out any piece of information to kind of help me going forward. And you were telling me about these improv classes where you said that they would just pick a subject out of a bucket and it would be any random thing and that you would have to talk about it for 5 minutes and be funny about it for 5 minutes. Yeah. And I mean, damn, that just seems not impossible, but that just seems so difficult just to be able to, but it's a good drill to go through.
Yeah.
What ultimately, I don't know if we covered this or not, but what ultimately made you think, I'm going to do comedy?
Oh my God, man! I was in a comedy club. Now check it out. I don't know what open mic was. I never heard. I thought if you're a comedian, you're funny, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in this comedy club, and the comics were horrible. They were horrible. But I guess it was open mic, you know. So I'm sitting back there, you know, I got my little beer, you know, I was like, man, I said, I could do this bullshit. So the owner of the club, he's standing right behind me, right? So he was like, you think you can do it? He said, we have open mic every Tuesday. He said, come back, put your name on the list. He said, I'll let you go up. I said, oh, I can do that. I said, I can go up there and not be funny. I said, I can do exactly what they doing, right?
Yeah.
So the next week came, and I went up there, and he said, you got 3 to 5 minutes, right? He said, 3 minutes if you ain't funny, but if you got them laughing, we'll let you get 5 minutes. I was like, cool, all right. So when I got up there, you know, lady hollered out, where you from? You know, and me being from Ohio, that was my first joke. I said, you know, I'm from Ohio, you know, and I told him how I moved down to Atlanta by mistake. And I had no idea, you know, the South is just beautiful. I said, when I left Ohio, you know, we had 15 inches of snow. And I said, when I got to Atlanta, I said, it was 75 degrees in December. I said, I called my mom. I said, I ain't never coming home. You know, and then I told him how I did the joke about, you know, how up north snow don't mean nothing. You know, I said, but here, I said, if y'all think it's going to snow, y'all shut down the city, you know, and everybody run to the store and buy up all the milk and the bread and the water. And wake up the next day, it's 80 degrees, and now you mad because you don't spend your rent money on food. You know, that was my first joke.
That's awesome.
You know, and I didn't even think it was a joke. I was just talking, you know. And so then I just, you know, said, thank you, you know. And so the owner, he was like, you done comedy before? I said, nah, man, that was my first time, you know. He said, you know what? He said, man, we started an improv group. He said, you want to get in it? I was like, yeah, and that's how I got in the improv group.
Wow. So how did you end up in Atlanta? Was it just like for the 9 to 5 thing or?
No, I was in college. I was playing football at Youngstown State University, and on spring break, I came down to Atlanta. And like I said, when I left there, we had snow, and I had never been to the South in my life. And when I got to Atlanta, it was 75 degrees in December, and I knew I wasn't going back.
Oh, wow.
No
joke.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going back, you know. So I just stayed with some friends and transferred to another school and I've been here ever since.
Oh,
and then that's where you met Chris.
Yep, met Chris at the comedy club.
There you go, man.
When I came back that next week to do the improv group, that's when I met Chris.
Oh, no
Excellent.
joke. That's wild. It's funny how life will run you down these different paths, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing to Dave when he met you. I was like, man, it just seemed like y'all two clicked pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
You never know. I'd like to see you guys work again together.
Oh,
I know that's right.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
well,
I know that. I think Dave's doing something maybe in February. A little bit. He's been working still, you know, doing a lot of MC work and everything for the Stardome, but I think he's doing some feature stuff maybe towards February for some guys. But maybe we got to figure out something to get all you guys together and get on the same show. But
look, I'd even come to Atlanta if you do little gigs over there. You know.
Yeah. They got a lot of little rooms down here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I took actually Chris with me. Speaking of little improvs and open mics, I brought Chris with me so he could see the level of talent, and it was shocking. Like you were talking about how bad it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny. It was bad and funny at the same time. It was so bad.
And in all fairness, Sherman, I almost had that same epiphany that you did. I was like, well, shit, I could do that. I can be not funny.
Exactly. But that's the good thing about improv because you don't have to be the funny guy all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I learned about improv. You don't have to be the funny guy, you know, all the time.
Yeah,
all you gotta do is just hold yours, you know.
Well, I gotta come over here with Dave. I gotta start hanging out with you guys, man. I gotta figure this stuff out too. I think it'll make me better on this mic, you know, for my show.
There you go.
So.
Oh yeah.
But Sherman, man, we appreciate you calling in. We're gonna roll this thing up. We got another guy that's gonna be calling in, I think, and don't want to overlap too much. But man, please, we got to keep this going, getting you calling in.
Man.
And if you got anything going on, man, Dave and I'll jump in the car. We'll run over there. We'll hang
Okay.
out with you and
We'll support you in Atlanta or anytime you're around somewhere in the Southeast.
All right.
Yeah,
man,
for sure.
Yeah.
just let us know.
All right.
All right,
That'll
brother.
work, man. I'll
Well,
sure do it.
we appreciate you extremely, brother.
Hey, no problem, man.
And we're
Appreciate you
gonna
guys, man.
we're gonna give you a call back soon.
That'll work.
All right, man.
All right.
Talk to
All
you
right,
soon.
Cool, man.
See you, man.
All right, later.
Bye.
All right.